Also, another question was your gear falling behind. And that's a really good, legitimate question. I'm going to be answering that in this video, so I don't want to waste any more time. About specific character leveling specs. I got a lot of emails about this. People wanting leveling specs for their characters. Now that they learned about quest cycles, they want to have the best leveling spec. I'm going to go over this briefly in this video, and it's also included in the guide that I'm making here. It's going to be launched on Tuesday, but more details on that later in this video. And also, the biggest question I've gotten a lot of is making sure the guide is for both Horde and Alliance, and absolutely, there's going to be a guide for both Horde and Alliance. I can understand the confusion because the last video I made had the map of Elwyn Forest, which is an Alliance-only zone, but that was just used for an example. I guarantee that there will be strategies for Horde and Alliance, quest paths all the way from 1 to 70 for both sides, Horde and Alliance. So I hope I made that part of it clear. So the first thing we're going to get into in this video is downtime. And like I said before, downtime is pretty much anything that you're doing that is taking away from your leveling time. And after you understand quest cycles and after you have your own copy of a quest cycle all the way through from 1 to 70, this is the player's biggest downfall if you're leveling slowly. It was my biggest downfall even after learning quest cycles and building my own quest cycles. It was still a giant downfall, and it took me about 2 characters all the way to level 70 until I figured this mistake out. I started correcting it and getting a lot of more strategies for reducing downtime. So here are some of my tips on improving your downtime, or reducing it technically. Use quest cycles, just like I said before. Quest cycles will reduce your downtime. So if you're already using quest cycles, obviously you're doing quest cycles, so you don't really need this step. But if you're not using quest cycles, definitely do it immediately because it's going to reduce your downtime. And upgrade your food and water every 10 levels. So I think your first upgrade is level 5, and then at 15, 25, 35, 45, all the way up. Upgrade it as soon as possible. And when you get your new food, just automatically sell your old food. Because it's worthless, it's going to just lose you more time. So upgrade your food as soon as possible. That way, when you are actually taking the time to sit down and drink and eat, you're doing it as quick as possible. Get the right leveling spec, and I'm going to show you my preferences on leveling specs later on in this video. But make sure, number one, that you're using your talents. I had an email from a girl that wanted a character critique, and I looked at her character. She was level 67, and in no way am I making fun of her because Blizzard actually did a terrible job of explaining talents and making it obvious to use talents, but she only had 4 talent points invested in her character at, totally. And so just fixing up your talent specs will actually improve your speed leveling a lot quicker. Be very, very careful when you pull mobs. This might seem obvious, but it's really not, because a lot of people get over anxious. They're trying to speed through their leveling, they're trying to speed through the quest, and they accidentally pull a couple more mobs, which means even if you pull 2 mobs when you're only supposed to pull 1, they're both going to be beating on you at the same time, which means you're going to have to sit down right after that, unless you're a class that has AoE abilities. So definitely be very careful pulling, be very precise when you pull, and only pull the amount of mobs that you're ready to deal with, because you do not want to sit down. Do not die, and this also goes with the one right before it. Dying is one of the biggest time sinks in this game, and obviously nobody likes dying, and obviously it's not one of our goals is to run out there and kill a bunch of mobs and then die on the last one, because it's really annoying. I've many times thrown my mouse up against the wall because I accidentally died, or I was watching a video and my character died, and so it's very simple. Be very careful, don't die. One of my goals was to level all the way from 1 to 70 without dying the whole way through. I got all the way up to level 59 and I died in a PvP fight, which I shouldn't have even got into. So I got kind of mad at that, but my goal is still to go from 1 to 70 without dying once. So we're going to try it again. But anyways, look ahead and watch all your angles. And if pretty soon here I'm going to start releasing videos of me leveling myself, and also for people in my Gold Mastery Guide, I'm actually going to make some videos of me in some secrets farming spots that I have. And when you watch these videos, I should probably put a warning up there for epilepsy, because you'll see my screen basically bounce all around. I'm always checking my angles, always watching. And that's simply because I used to play games where you had to have very high click rates and you always had to be watching all the angles. So you don't need to go to that extent of basically checking every screen, always looking at your different angles and moving around the character, looking behind you and stuff like that. But it's definitely good to always look ahead to your next quest, look ahead to your next mob, decide before you kill your mob which mob you're going to move to next, and also make sure you're not anywhere close to patrolling mobs or anything like that, because like I said, the more of them that are beating on you while you're not killing them, that means more downtime. And get the biggest bags, that way you can collect the most loot while you're out there. You don't have to keep running back to town. And also, it'll give you more gold in the time, so you can get your mount quicker, you can get your epic mount quicker, and also more gold for you means more items. Do not do any of these. Don't PvP. Don't. This is one of the biggest controversial things, is professions. The only profession I get while I'm leveling is first aid, and the reason being it's going to reduce downtime. And it's really easy to level. Usually I just level it up while I'm waiting for a boat or something like that. So do not get professions. It's even if you just, like, let's say you just pick up mining or you just pick up skinning, which you can do while you're questing, which, I mean, it really isn't a big loss in time, but it's definitely a loss in time, and what we're trying to do is cut off every single part of downtime, and professions is definitely a huge downtime. Do not go to the auction house ever. Your main character should never ever go to the auction house, and I'm going to explain a workaround for that here. So all these are giant no-nos, I consider them, and just don't do it. If you want to level quicker, do not do any of these things. I guarantee you it's going to slow you down, and plus it's going to distract you. And just like I said, the workaround for not going to the auction house is making a mule. So those of you that are subscribers to my Gold Mastery Guide, this is actually a tip inside my Gold Mastery Guide. And a mule is a very powerful thing, and I'm going to explain what a mule is right here. A mule is a level 1 character that you run to a main city just to use for mail collection, for the auction house, and also storage purposes. So basically the way it works is you have your main character, I'm going to call him Bob. And then you're going to have your other character, which is Mule. I'm going to call him Donkey. So Bob goes out in levels. You get a whole bunch of items in your bag, and when you come back, you have two choices: sell to a vendor, or put in a bank, or save in your inventory, which you don't want to do. The only thing you should ever have in your bags while you go out and accept another huge quest line would be, you want to have your quest items that you need for that quest line. You want to have your bandages or food, and you also want to have potions. That is it. Unless you're a hunter or a warlock, you're going to have your arrows and your shards. Other than that, besides like regions and things like that, or reagents, you don't need to have anything in your bag, because you want to collect as much loot as you can, and you want to stay out questing for as long as possible. Also, another question that I saw was, it just reminded me of this, is durability. I have never had a problem with durability on my items. This also goes with me not dying and me being very careful. So just be very careful with what you pull, and when you correct these small errors like this, it's going to save you a lot of durability and things like that. So so that should answer that question. So when you make a mule, just basically the very simple process is you level your main character, which I said was Bob, and before you do any of that, you make your donkey character or mule, and basically you just create a new character. I always make mine like a funny name, like Poor or Gold Farmer or stuff like that. I used to make Gold Farmer. That's actually illegal now. But like names like Collections or stuff like that. Just funny names that I like to make because I'm a nerd. But then once you make that character, you just run it straight to the auction house, which is I usually use a human, or if I'm Horde side, I use an orc. And so if I'm Alliance side, I just run them right in the Stormwind, or if I'm playing Horde, I run them straight up to Orgrimmar. And basically they just sit there waiting for mail to come in. Now this is going to be a huge thing, because while you're leveling, you can just send it all to that mule. You don't even have to log into your mule if you don't want to. The mail is just going to sit there for 29 days. So you have 29 days to hit level 70 and then get all your gear back. And so just going through the process. Create a new character, run him to the main city, like I said before. This is just a city with a mailbox and an auction house, which is a main city. And what does this do? I explained it's going to save you a lot of downtime.